What's going on, guys and gals? It's your boy Darth. We're back in Queensblade Limit Break, and we're going to be going over the new dual attribute SP Warrior that actually started about 12 to 13 days ago. It's a 14-day event because she's a new warrior. Oh, excuse me. I haven't had enough Starbucks today. And I actually recorded a video at the start of the event, but then they changed some things, and then we found out something else about this warrior, and things just spiraled from there. But I was looking at the content that I've been creating and how people are looking at it, and they're not really looking at a lot of it. They're scrolling through it, anywhere between a few seconds to a minute or two. So I'm going to get right to it since we're already late on this warrior. I'm going to tell you what you need to know, and I'm going to give you the facts, because this warrior scares the crap out of me on both the PvE and PvP front. Although I think people are overlooking the PvP aspect because they're having too much fun right now with this warrior in PvE, particularly when it comes to bosses. We're talking about monster takedown, we're talking about guild bosses, and this will apply to event bosses should we have one as well. Talking about the new dual attribute SP Warrior Aranea. Now, the simple fact is this, is that everybody is posting record numbers. You've seen me post some over the last week. I almost hit 3 bills on Spider Queen. This is the warrior that is causing the uproar and the hoopla. Now, whether or not you pull for her is going to depend on a couple of things. Time, because you only have today and tomorrow to pull for her. And if the devs decide to change her, you may be stuck with a warrior that is only good really for PvP. Let's go over her real quick. Basically, she is a support warrior. I do like her. I don't like her headdress. This is one of the very few warriors. I don't like the headdress. I don't like the hair. I like everything else. I mean, this box right here is probably 90% of the appeal factor. It is what it is. And then the devs down here, instead of going for an hourglass figure, went for a triple hourglass figure, which works. But her weapon here, everything about the color scheme is actually cool. She's channeling her inner Spider Queen, and that's because she is a Spider Queen warrior. The spicy pose, 2 of the luckiest anime spiders in all of the galaxy right now. Which is this one here is just the guardian of everything holy. 2 things holy. And then this one right here is just, giving her a light slap on the hiney. Because everybody likes a light slap on the hiney. Don't look at me like that, ladies. You know it's true. You ain't fooling Darth. You ain't fooling Darth whatsoever. Anyways, she basically is classified as a support warrior. Not generally for the reason people thought of at first, and it's because of her ability to basically shred your immobilization at max level. She has standard attack and HP gains, but for every 5% reduction in the enemy's HP, your speed is reduced and your immobilization resistance is reduced. And to make matters worse, on turn 2, she will actually reduce all enemies' immobilization resistance by 40%. This is too powerful. And this is just making the fish much more effective at landing that buff and keeping you locked down for the entirety of battle. This is a very bad warrior. If you're going to do something like this, I think it should be 20%. And it should be a chance. If you notice, this is an active skill that has no chance to trigger. It actually just does it. In addition, she's going to trigger Neurotoxin. Neurotoxin's a unique effect in that once it's triggered, any immobilization effects and poison sustained by the target is actually increased by another turn. And this is actually helping in the post-record numbers by extending poison duration. So poison, basically, the enemy loses 5% of their max HP, not to exceed 1,000% of the user's attack. The problem is this is the first time I've seen something that high. 1,000% of the user's attack, meaning the more attack you have, the better damage, the more obscene numbers you're going to post on bosses right now, because 5% of the max HP and the ability to stack poison with Spiderweb is the bread and butter on the PvE side. She's going to trigger Spiderweb at the start of battle, giving all allies a chance, 20% of inflicting a poison. The problem is that if it fails, they're going to get a 20% increase to that 20% on their next attack. And then it's going to stack again. They've already confirmed this via email, in-game email, that this is a stacking buff until poison lands. Well, once you get 40%, you can pretty much tell what's going to happen. Now, on the flip side, though, any enemies who attack you have a chance to be bound for 1 turn. Now, this doesn't extend to the next turn. Basically, what it does is it shuts you down on the existing turn and counts the existing turn as a turn. Think of somebody like the Hare who likes to counter-attack. Alyssa the Hare follow-up attacks. The Pirate counterattacks. Alyssa attacks multiple times in a phase. So basically what it's going to do is when an enemy attacks you, you have a 30% chance to shut them down from any further attacks. This includes the rune skill Barrage. So if you're worried about Barrage, this actually will shut down Barrage. And unfortunately, Spiderweb lasts the entire battle. So you have a 30% chance to shut anyone down from using Barrage and follow-up attacks. And, like the allies inflicting poison, you get a 20% stacking buff on further subsequent attacks that mean you're going to be shut down for that turn. And if Neurotoxin is in effect on turn 2, it's going to make the poison and that bound effect last into the next turn. So effectively she's going to shut you down for the existing turn. You still get an attack off, but she's going to make you miss your next attack, and that's extremely powerful in PvP type of abilities. But I'm really annoyed at this Neurotoxin because it can't be removed, and it makes immobilization effects and poison sustained by the target irremovable as well, as just obliterating your immobilization resistance. She scares me in PvP situations, but I think people are going to sleep on her, and they're going to sleep on her a lot longer than normal because everybody's using her on monster bosses, and it's because of Spiderweb. Spiderweb cannot be removed and lasts until the end of battle, even if she dies. So any ally that is attacking a boss on a long-term fight is going to stack poison debuffs, triggering, at the end of the turn, 5% each loss in their max HP. And the higher your attack is, the more damage you're actually going to do. That's why everybody's posting record numbers right now on Monster Takedown and Guild Boss. I think I hit 200 on a B team with no gear. I'm going to show you something here on my team setup and why I use it. I use the Hare and I use Alyssa. I use them to set up the best damager and boss fighter in the game currently. SS tier plus is Aranea. Oh, and she's on arrival, by the way, this week. She is the best boss damager in the game, bar none, and she can face tank the hardest bosses in the game, which are event bosses, on her own. You're going to want one of her for boss fights. But anyways, the Hare and Alyssa attack multiple times. They follow up and counterattack multiple times in one turn, giving her a much higher chance of stacking more poison damage debuffs than a attacker who only attacks once, giving you all sorts of damage, and which is why we're posting battle numbers. I'm currently number 1 in both. Here's my last damage numbers. Look at this. Alyssa and the Hare. I need to take the Hare to 11. I have copies of her. I just haven't done it. They usually put out about 60 mil. Imagine going from 60 to 400 and 500 mil respectively. Aranea 1.3 mil. Now she always does the most damage, and the reason I use the Hare in her is because they stack Starglow for Nanelle much faster. And Nanelle does all the damage. And then face tanks the bosses anyways. Here's the proof in the pudding right here and why people are using it. So the problem is as I mentioned out front, is that if you have to decide that if you're going to pull for her, are you going to pull for her with the expressed ability that you're going to use her in PvP to help obliterate immobilization resist and make your fish constantly hit that. And if you're using Bloom, you're hitting those frosty, you're freezing the enemy. It actually affects the cores as well. Or if you're going to use her in PvE bosses. I want her for PvE bosses, but if the devs change her, then we might be stuck with a warrior that's only good inside of PvP situations unless you're talking about using her in tower. I can see using her in tower, especially levels 2150 all the way up to 2100, because the enemy team is so good at inflicting immobilization effects on you that it is completely ridiculous. And your chance to immobilize the enemy team for those, especially those last 50, is extremely difficult as well. They have high resistances naturally. I did get through it, by the way, with Bloom. But anyways, so if you decide to pull for her over the next 2 days for PvE content and you have no real use for her or want to use her in PvE, you only really need to get her to 9 or 10 star. You have 2 days to do it. You're going to post massive amounts of numbers. But if the devs fix her, you're going to find that you're probably out of luck. So choose wisely, knowing that Nenel is the best boss damager in the game, bar none, is on rotation this week as well, and you still only have, what, a day? If that counter's right, it's a day or two to pull for her. That's it, guys. I'm going to leave you there to kind of digest what's going on, but that is the secret. That's why everybody is posting record numbers right now. It's because of this warrior right here giving allies the ability to stack poison. And as I mentioned, if you're using warriors that are attacking multiple times in one phase, they have such a high success rate and are stacking more poison damage than single target attackers. And it does work with Barrage, by the way. The poison damage that you're capable of putting out is just too massive right now that I don't think the devs are going to be able to ignore it. What do you guys think? Do you have her? I know a lot of you have been using her. You told me you know the secret. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of the warrior and from a PvE perspective on that immobilization enhancing, and then the binding the warrior for attacking you and shutting you down, and then the ability to completely remove basically most of your immobilization resistance, making you extremely vulnerable. And then let me know what you think about her ability to be a support warrior by increasing your allies' damage so massively that you're seeing good numbers in boss fights. Let me know, guys. Let me know what you thought of her thing. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.